Hi, this is Kevin, and here is a thought for you. Creating blog posts from YouTube videos can feel like a time-consuming nightmare. Watching, pausing, transcribing, it's all basically a productivity killer. But what if there was a way that you could turn any YouTube video into a fully formatted SEO-ready blog post and do it on autopilot? By the end of this video, I will show you a step-by-step system that allows you to go from a YouTube transcript like this, and it will allow you to create a fully formatted and ready to go type of SEO blog post like this. In this case, this is a 3.5 thousand word article with multiple H2s and text that is formatted, that has the right tags. There's the step-by-step, there's the summarization, there's the content expansion, brainstorming. So it's a very in-depth type of article. This article was created using AI and automation, so it can save you hours of manual work, and you still get the high-quality, SEO-friendly article that you want to get published, and you do so consistently. The plan in this video is as follows. So first, I'm going to break down how to actually get the most out of YouTube content when it comes to repurposing and using different methods that allow you to not waste time and use automation to really flip the script on how you do things. Next, I'll show you how to set up the automation using N8N and a few other tools. And finally, I'll reveal the one critical step that makes sure that your blog posts aren't just accurate, but also feel like they were written by a human and not a bot. I've built quite a lot of systems using AI and automation and N8N and other no-code tools, and I've helped a lot of businesses generate these types of blog posts from their video content, allowing them to do this at scale without lifting a finger. And if you stick around, I'm going to show you exactly how you can do the same thing yourself. So let's get right into it. So first, let's speak about why manual YouTube to blog conversion fails over the long term. Manually transcribing videos and formatting posts wastes time, right? I think we can all agree on that. Most tools also create bland type of blog posts that don't translate into engaging content. When your content isn't engaging, you tend to lose the people from the introduction. And when that happens, they go back, they don't stick around, and they don't read your content, which means that probably they won't return. So there's a big bottleneck when it comes to the whole process. You want to create engaging content, but that takes time. And if you don't, people will go back and not read your blog content. So the way forward is in how the content that you create is structured and also personalized afterwards. So this is what you need to keep in mind. And with that said, let's get into the step-by-step of how to create this in N8N. So first, what you will want to do is actually go to your N8N instance, and in my case, I'm going to pull up a new scenario right here. And what we're going to do is start from a YouTube transcript. In this case, as I'm testing, I'm going to start this by triggering it manually. But as we get into testing this, we can start by having a form as well. So we'll be able to have a form that looks somewhat like this, where someone can just enter a video URL and the YouTube transcript. If the video is live on the internet, or on YouTube rather, there are also different ways to get the transcript automatically. So you don't even have to fill in something like this. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to assume that the video isn't live. So you will want to grab the transcript like so from your YouTube video. But again, it's relatively easy to use something like Epify in order to grab the transcript automatically. So once you have the transcript, you can go to your N8N instance. And over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a variable. So let's call this transcript. And I'm going to just paste that in there for now. So I'll have the transcript right there and ready to go. And I'm also going to pin that so it will be accessible in the later modules. Once we have that, the first thing we need to do is generate an outline for our article. So here in the variable that we just created, there's a lot of content. We want to create an outline based on that content. So it's structured in a way that makes sense. And the way to do this is to go to advanced agents, and I'm just going to use an AI agent right here. I'm going to leave this as tools. It will be connected to the prompt below. And here, I'm just going to paste in this expression. So I'm going to say, take this YouTube transcript and convert it into a blog post outline. Write the intro and the conclusion so it's ready to go. The body of the article should be in bullet point outline format and output in Markdown. Since this is a transcript, you have the authority to change some words to make it make sense within the context of the article. So as I said, some words might not make sense to leave as is. Some of the, like the way the article, the transcript is ordered, might not make sense when it comes to creating the video. So this is why I'm giving it the authority to be able to make these changes. And here I just need to pass along the YouTube transcript from my video. So in this case, I'm going to just replace this and just say JSON.transcript. So it's able to pull in the transcript right there. So that is the first thing. What we need to do before we can test this, if you click test step, at this stage it will say chat model must be connected and enabled. Because with this AI agent, you need to have a chat model and optionally memory or tools. So chat model, and for this, I'm just going to go to Open Router, and I'm just going to choose a free model. So you can see how this will work even with a free type of model. So if you go to Open Router and then type in free, here you get all the free models that are available for you. So there's Mistral, NVIDIA, so both are. So this is Mistral, Llama, Open Chat, Quen. So there's the free version of that. Let me just go with Mistral. Let's see. Yeah, there's also a bunch up here as well. I believe I had gone with Llama 3. Let me just double check which one I had used earlier. Yeah, let's go with this one and see the output that we get. So now, if I run this, I should get an output from my transcript. So that will be the first part of the automation. And from that, we'll be able to move to the next step, which is getting that output. And we're going to create 3 different routes. One for the introduction, one for the body, and one for the conclusion. The introduction and the conclusion will be somewhat similar. But when it comes to the body, I want to be really thorough in the way that this is created. So we're going to be splitting the body into different sections. And this will allow us to really have a lot of detail in each of those sections. So over here, this seems to be thinking over and over again. So I might as well change this to something that will probably work a bit faster. So let's go with, let's see if we go with, let's go with DeepSeek. And let's just choose, okay, I never tried this DeepSeek R1 free. Let's see if this could potentially work. So let's run this and let's see what we get. And the good thing about having this AI agent is that it's very easy to just change the model if one isn't working. So in this case, if this keeps on loading, which it shouldn't take this long, it's very easy to just switch to something that's different that is working. So again, this one doesn't seem to be giving us what we want. So I'm just going to go to the model here and let's go with DeepSeek. And let's go with chat. Generally, this tends to work well. So let's see. All right, so after trying out a few models, for some reason, the ones I had with Open Router were not working before. I tried DeepSeek as well, which seems to be giving problems again through the API usage. I even tried connecting with NUking. And then I went with Gemini Flash free version. So that gave me this output right here. So there's the Markdown format and there's the outline right there. So this is the part where we generate the outline. So let's call this outline generator and let's move forward. So what I want here is to have essentially 3 different routes. One for the intro, body, and conclusion. The intro and the conclusion, as I said earlier, are going to be pretty similar. So I'm just going to copy these and let's call this intro and let's call that conclusion. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed this into these right here. And whilst we're here, I might also have another one that I'll call body. And this will be kind of a slightly different path. But for now, I'm just going to connect the chat model to the same one right here. So this makes it very easy to just connect to the same thing. And for the intro, what I'm going to do, and right here is just say something like this. So take this article outline and create the intro for it. Here's all you need to know about the different types of intros you can choose from. So what I have here is different ways or different hooks, if you will, of how you could start an article. You could start with a question, a quotation, a statistic, a description, an anecdote, metaphor, story, and so on and so forth. And here I'm saying choose the best based on the below outline and output the new introduction. So you could think about passing the outline each and every time, which will be this right here from the previous node, is that this will have the full context of what we're trying to build, which makes it generally output a better intro, better body, and better conclusion. So through using N8N and having the ability to connect one output to multiple routes, this makes it easy to pass that outline each and every time. And using this JSON.outline, this will make it super easy, or JSON.output in this case, it's super easy because it will be the same variable each and every time. So let's actually pin this data so we can test it. And let's test the introduction and see what we get. In the meantime, we can also do the same thing for the conclusion. So the prompt here is going to be something like this. So I'm going to say, take this article outline and create a conclusion for the article. Again, I'm giving it different types of outlines it can go for. So a call to action, an open-ended question, recommend specific course of action, restate the thesis, summarize findings, summarize conclusion, closing sentence, propose actionable insights. There's a lot that it can choose from. Then I'm saying, choose the best based on the below outline and output the new, this should say conclusion. Start the output with # conclusion. So I want to have the markdown h2 for conclusion. And again, I'm passing that outline. So if we run this, let's see what we get. And probably I should have pinned the intro as well. So let's pin the conclusion and let's run the introduction as well. So we'll get the intro and the conclusion and have a look at both of them. So let's pin that. So for the introduction, we have tired of spending endless hours wrestling with ChatGPT, trying to coax it into producing the results you need. Are you ready to ditch the basic prompt and unlock the true potential of AI? In this blog, I'm going to reveal the secret weapon of power users, meta prompts. These aren't your run-of-the-mill instructions. They're advanced techniques that will allow you to automate entire workflows. So it's a bit long, but it's also quite good. I like how it starts with that question, and then it tells the user what is going to happen in the article. So we might need to fine-tune this and massage it a bit, but we're on the right track. For the conclusion, we've covered a lot of ground in this article, from understanding what meta prompts are to exploring 10 detailed examples showcasing ChatGPT's incredible capabilities. We touched on everything from maintaining context to generating code in multiple languages. So it already obviously knows what's going to happen in the article because we passed along that whole introduction. And that makes a big difference when it comes to the final output that will be the combination of this intro, body, and conclusion. The next thing to consider is actually the body, right? Which is where we're going to create the stuff right here. So the first thing we're going to do in this body is format this in a way that makes it easier for us to understand where the different sections are. Because at the moment, we do get the output right here, which if we look back here is this, but it's kind of difficult for us to understand where one section starts and where one section ends. So here, what I'm going to do, and this could also have been done right here, but I just wanted to make it clear where the intro, body, and conclusion actually are happening. So here, for this, I might need to unhook this right here, because for this, I'm going to be using a different chat model because I will need to use an additional tool. So here I'm going to say, take this YouTube transcript and convert it into a blog post outline. So I can do that again. Write the intro and the conclusion, so that can be removed. I'm going to pause the YouTube transcript and convert it into a blog post outline. The YouTube transcript will be this. And here I'm going to say output in JSON format. And the good thing about N8N is that if you say require specific output format, you can then connect an output parser right here, which allows you to create specific JSON that you want it to output in. So you can either generate from JSON example and use that right there, or you can define that below. And in my case, I'm going to define exactly what I want. So what I want will be something like this. So I want essentially an array of the different sections. So I'm just going to create a JSON object here, and in it, I'm going to have the different sections. So this will be called, let's say, section. So within sections, the array called sections, we have section, and within that we'll have the section title, if you will, and then we'll have the different section points within that section. So here I will have section points, and there will be an array of points right there. So I'm just going to say point 1, find off, point 2, point 3, etc. So this should create a bunch of sections where each section has the section title and the section points. So this will make it much easier for us to turn this into an array and then separate it out into the different sections. No pun intended. Let's double check that it is correct JSON. So here we have some problem. So sections, section, let's see, section points. Oh yeah, so here I have all right, so just fix that, had a missing brackets right here. And now that I look at this, what I think I will do is have a couple of these different sections. So it's clear that I'm not just looking for one section, but I'll have multiple ones. So I'm just going to add a comma here and add a couple more sections. Let's validate that. And we have some type of error here. So let's see. This is the start of the array. So we have, let's always some bracket that gets you. So what I'm going to do is just go to ChatGPT and say, please fix this JSON for me. Paste it in there. So here we have sections. We have the first section with the section points. We have another section with the points of that section, and so on and so forth. So let's just copy this, validated. This is now good. We go back to N8N. We just paste that in there. So now this will create this structured output that we want. In order to make this happen, though, we need to connect it to a model that allows for the use of tools, because this in N8N is considered to be a tool. So I'm just going to go with OpenAI chat model and go with for Omni. That's fine. And this will create the body output in that JSON format. So let's test that out and let's see what we get. So once this finishes running, we get the output. So there's the title, outline. We got the section called introduction. We got the section called understanding meta prompts, top 10 ChatGPT techniques, which with a bunch of techniques right here. And we get troubleshooting tips and we get the conclusion. So that's fine. What I might actually do, now that I think about it, I know I mentioned this earlier, but I think this makes sense to be the structured output right here. So there's no point in doing this first and then doing it again right here. So what I'm gonna do is just delete that. Let's put that here. Get these out of the way. Connect that to that, and then connect this to 3 routes. So there's one, there's the connection to the conclusion as well. And then there will be the path, which is what I'm going to mention now in terms of what happens next with the body. And like that, we're just generating one outline and then using that moving forward. So it's just one outline. So let's test this workflow and see what we get. So we'll have the pin data, that is the latest version. So again, this is creating the outline using the OpenAI chat model, and then the intro and the conclusion are using the Gemini model to create their respective sections. So let's pin, get the same JSON output, great, get the, okay, yeah, we need to update this. So here's the outline, which should be the output here. Okay, so now the problem is that we're getting all of that. So can we say JSON.output dot, what can we say, dot outline dot dot first? No, so that won't work. So what we want is, can we use a join? No, this is giving us just the objects. Okay, let me have a think about this. So I think what I'll end up doing is passing along the 3 different sections individually. So first we have the introduction, so it's JSON.output.introduction. Then we have the JSON.output.outline dot, can we say content points? No, we can't. Okay, so I played around a bit with this, and instead of trying to go down the rabbit hole of JavaScript, what I want to do is create 3 manual variables to make life easier. What I don't like here is one thing. So we have the JSON.output.introduction, which is great. We have the JSON.output.outline, which is great. But then here we have the JSON.output.outline12.section title. So what I want to do here is have it be so that each and every time I run this, it will be called the same thing. So instead of having it be section 12, I don't want this to break if it's not in the 12th section. So if I go back here and I go to the structured output parser, what I want to do is modify this. So the first section will be called introduction, and then I'll have another section at the end, which is called conclusion. So I think it should come right here. So let's say, I think this is right. Go to JSON length, paste that in there, and that is valid. So let's copy this, paste that in there, and let's rerun the body right here. So let's unpin the data and run this, because if this gives us the 3 sections that are defined with the specific names, we can then grab those, put them into 3 different variables, and then run with those. So that should technically make life easier as well. So let's have a look here once this finishes running. Okay, let's spin the data and let's see what we got. So we have title, we have introduction, we have sections, and then we have conclusion. Great. So now if we go back here, let's delete these 2. Let's drag in the sections here. Let's call this body. Let's call this introduction. And let's grab the conclusion as well. And we'll just call this conclusion. And now, great. So let's spin. And if I go like so, I should be able to give this outline using the three variables. So introduction, we have the body, okay, so this is still an object, so we need to, I guess, can we go to content? No. Body dot, can we join? No. All right, let me see how to figure this out. And then let's put in the conclusion right here. So let's test this. Okay, we need to connect a chat model subnode as well. So what I want here from this body object is potentially I want to turn this into a string. Let's see if we can do that. So can we turn this into a string? Let's unpin. And let's see if that will make life easier. So body. Yeah, I think that works. So let's say introduction. Let's say body. And let's say conclusion. And let's double check. This is giving us what we want here. So we have the intro, we have the body, which is now turned into a string. Great. We have the conclusion. Perfect. Here, we just need to connect this to the same model we were using earlier, which is this Gemini model. And I'm going to copy the part here, where I have here's the outline, and paste it into the conclusion. So this should also then get the same thing. So there, this article outline, create a conclusion for the article. All right, sweet. So this should give us the introduction. So let's run that. And we should also get, and I always forget to pin it. So let's pin the conclusion. Let's rerun the introduction. And let's see if this is giving us the output we want. Here's the introduction. So we'll just need to modify this to say don't output here's the introduction using blah, blah, blah. Just get straight to the point. And the conclusion starts with hash, which is great. So that looks good. So here all I need to do is just add a rule. Just start with the introduction. No frills, just straight to the point. Do not say here is the introduction or anything like that. Let's test this again. So we unpin and test. Perfect. So let's now pin this. And the next thing we're going to do, first of all, I want to name this better. So let's call this splitting intro, body, and conclusion. Save. And now I want to go down the route of doing things with the body. So if I create a new module here, which I think should be the set module, and hook it to this, what I would like to see is if I can turn this into an array. So now we're back to an array, which is great. Which also means that now, so let's call this body array. We can also go and have the split out function, which technically speaking should give us 12 output items. Perfect. Which also means that we can now write each individual item. So for this, I'm going to grab one of these, connect it like so, and say this is writing individual body sections. And here, I'm just going to use a prompt I have from before. And I'm going to say something as follows. So take the specific section in an article I'm writing and turn it into a full section. There are the rules. So you can reference other parts of the article, but don't go into detail about them. I prefer conversational text over bullet points, uses part in conversational tone, and I have 15 semantic writing rules that actually rank. And shout out to Andrew Ansley for this and his very straightforward way in terms of how he defined these 15 rules. So here I aim to also provide a full outline, which should be easier to get since we split that and got that into a string. So I can just paste in the body. And I can also say this is the section you are writing, which will be the part right here. So it will be the headline and the content of this specific section. So if we look at the output here, so this is the section you're writing, which is understanding meta prompts, and this should also be the first thing right here. So we get that, and we get also the contents of that section. So that looks good. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to unpin this. I'm going to connect it to a chat model. So let's go with the same model as before. And let's place that. And what I want to do essentially is I can run this and see what we get. So this will take some time because it's going through and iterating through each of the 12 different sections and writing them individually. So by the end of this section, we'll get the output of those 12. Okay, and we actually ran into an issue, so rate limit exceeded. So what we could do is either break this down using a loop function, which is this right here. So we can add sleep nodes to make this not run into any limits. Or in this case, we might as well use a different model. So let's go with open router here. And for this, let's try and use DeepSeek chat and potentially see if this will work in this specific situation. As I said earlier, when I was trying this at the start of the video, it was running into issues. So let's see, potentially this will work with this more structured type of output. Okay, so it took quite a good amount of time to finish these 12 outputs, but now we get those 12 outputs right here, and they're quite lengthy when it comes to the text generated. So we have the 12 sections, and again, what I'm going to do is spin that so we can use the output in the next sections. What I want to do is essentially put them all together, and to do that, I'm just going to aggregate. So here you can combine a field from many items into a list in a single item. And the thing I want to combine is this output right here. So if I test this, I now get the combined outputs. If I copy all this, so if I copy the data item and I go to word counter right here, we get that long string of 4,000 words. So that's looking good. The next thing I'm going to do, because I just said we get a string, what we get is actually an object. So what I want to do is change that into a string. So let's change that and put the data and convert that into a string. So like that, we get that into a format that is much easier to work with. So turn object, or turn, let's say, body object into string. This is combine all sections, and let's save that. What I want to finally do here is convert this string and remove all the stuff and ensure that we get the right type of markdown format, because in the next part, once everything comes together from the intro, body, and conclusion, we'll be able to turn the markdown into HTML format, which is what we'll use to publish on WordPress. So for that, I'm going to use an AI model here, which again, we can connect to something like Gemini. I think this should be fine. And I'm going to give it this prompt. So I'm going to say, convert the following into Markdown, removing any metadata. Do not say here's the content converted into Markdown. Do not output any Markdown or other backticks. Start with the output immediately. Headings should start with H2. And I'm going to input give it the input from before. So that is the whole string that we got right there. So if I were to run this, okay, that worked very, very fast. Got one item, and we got 12 items back. So we gave it one item, and we got all the outputs as a result. Interesting. Yeah, I think it's because the data is pinned is giving the input from before. Yeah, that makes sense. So let's just change this and say remove metadata and convert to Markdown. So this should still be executing. Okay. And once that finishes, what we're going to do is use a merge to essentially bring everything together. So we're going to have 3 inputs here. And we're going to append the data from the intro, the body. Okay, that's weird. I'm not sure why that didn't execute well. Anyway, so we'll get the data from there, from the intro, from the body, and also from the conclusion right here. So let's connect that like so. And once this finishes, I'll also connect the body output in Markdown to the merge node right here. So over here, I now got the output. Looks good in Markdown. And that's one output rather than what we had before. So again, pin this and connect this to the merge field. So if I run the merge field now, I should get 3 outputs. So there's the intro, there's the long ass body, and there should be the conclusion at the end. Great. Now, the problem with this is that it still gives us 3 items, right? So we need to do one final thing after merging this stuff and use another aggregate feature. So here, we're essentially just going to aggregate the data items here into a single list. And we can put the output in a field called data. That's not a problem. And we're going to include all the fields. So this should give us one data item rather than 3 separate ones. So again, we can pin this. And now we just need to do a few more things. First of all, we need to convert this into Markdown format. So if I go to Markdown here, let's convert Markdown to HTML, where the Markdown is the output from the aggregate function. And it should be output 0 or index 0, index 1, and index 2. So if we look at what that looks like, we get that, great. We get the different body sections, and we should get the conclusion at the very end. Great. Perfect. So let's test that. Okay, we got the HTML. Looks good. And just to test this, let's copy selection, go to an HTML viewer. And if I paste that in, and then remove the data from here, we get this HTML document. Great. So that looks good. Obviously, there's some additional characters we need to remove there, but for the majority, this looks good. So save, pin, and I really love pinning data so that it's easy to access at the later stages, as you might have noticed. The next thing to do is, there are different ways how to proceed. The way I built this originally before I made the modifications here is to first upload and save the information to our table and then upload the stuff to WordPress. For the sake of this demo, let's just go with one thing, which is uploading this to WordPress. So before I can upload to WordPress through the create a post here, I just want to create an SEO title and a meta description based on my article. So I'm just going to add another agent here, which is, just a ChatGPT module at the end of the day, or a large language model. And I'm just going to say, create or give me an SEO title and a meta description for this article. Output in JSON, and let's just output SEO title and meta description. And that should be fine. Again, I can require specific output format. So I can enable that, add an output parser, structured output, define below. And what I need to do is pass along the actual article. So I can say, here is the article, and I can pass along the data from the markdown section. So let's go to JSON.data. So that should provide all the article. So here's the article. I should have the conclusion at the end. Yep, great. So let's test this. Of course, we need to connect this to something that can handle a tool. So let's go to, what did we have earlier? OpenAI somewhere. It should be this one right here. So let's just connect this to OpenAI, which is like so. And now, if we retest this, we should get this working using the structured output. So we got SEO title, but what we didn't get is the meta description. So I'm not sure why that is so. So have a look here. SEO title. Interesting. Okay, let's retest. Okay, yeah, now we've got that. So maybe for some reason it needs to be formatted on multiple lines. I don't know. So we can pin this, and now we can create a post on WordPress. If you haven't connected your WordPress, what you need to do is essentially go to your users section in WordPress, and there you'll be able to create a user, which is kind of an application. And once you do that, you'll be able to use your own username and the password for that application that you create. This is how you connect your N8N to WordPress. Over here, I need to pass along the title, so I can just put that in there. I need to pass along the content, which will be the stuff from the markdown and data. What else? Author name. I mean, this can be me. We have category name. So let's go with automation. And let's see if there's anything. Yeah, I think I removed content. So content, slug, password, status. Let's leave that as draft. That's great. Password, comment, ping, format, the key. Yeah, template. I'm good with this. So let's just test this step. And as you can see, that worked immediately. So if I go to my WordPress site and log in there, I should be able to see the draft of the article that we just generated. And here, I get the draft. Let's open it up in edit mode and preview mode. And I'll just convert that to blocks. So like that, get the title, we get the different H2s, technique 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, great, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we get troubleshooting tips, and finally there's a conclusion, which is great. Some ways to improve it would be to get the introduction and the conclusion to be more separated when it comes to the output, so it's easier from a readability point of view. And the same thing with the introduction. Obviously, you can use your own tone of voice and writing guidelines, but out of the box, this looks good. So if we were to publish this, we can also obviously add a featured image and all the fancy stuff that you would expect in a normal blog post. But as you can see, this is a lengthy type of article that was generated based purely on that YouTube transcript. So that's how you go from a YouTube transcript to a fully autonomous WordPress blog post just by building this N8N workflow that we had right here, where we started with the transcript. We got it to give us an outline. We then went into three separate routes, which is intro, body, and conclusion. We generated the intro and the conclusion. That was quite straightforward. There was some work with the body along the way. We merged everything together, converted to Markdown, and then we uploaded to WordPress. So that is pretty much the whole thing. If you would like to get access to this blueprint, I'll leave a link in the description below so you can get and download this blueprint and test it out yourself. In the meantime, don't forget to hit like and subscribe and do all the fancy YouTube stuff so you ensure that you don't miss future videos. And if you want to see how I can help you with AI and automation in your business, check out the links in the description as well. I'll see you in the next video.